Hey everybody, I hope you're doing great. I was gonna chill today and open up the door to a conversation with my spirit guides and just see what comes forward and just share the conversation with all of you. So I have conversations with the universe, interdimensional beings, spirit guides, whoever, on a regular basis. That's part of the world or the reality of my world that I live in. And I find it so simple to receive exchanges because I could tell the difference between what is me or what is inspired beyond me. It's not like I wanted to have that thought. That thought introduced itself, and then I explored it. And it wasn't really a thought more so than it was a sensation. I would call it a sensation. So when I sit here, I always tell people you have to silence out the human world if you want to hear other realms and realities. And it's not me listening to me. It's me silencing me completely and then allowing what's out there then to come into my space, you know? So what's out there, there's nothing to be afraid of out there. Anything can come into your space and it's interesting. It's an adventure. I find the human world's a little bit trickier because we wear so many masks, so we don't even know ourselves, let alone each other. And we spend an entire lifetime trying to figure out who we are, try to figure out if we could trust people or how to open up or, how to mend our broken heart or, how to achieve our goals. And we have so many roadblocks in the way. It's just like human life, but the spirit realm is so free. So you can have toxic people come and visit you, but you're just really just getting to know them. You're not saying, oh, I'm threatened by you because you feel nasty. Everything is free and equal and open. So it's like, oh, what's going on with you? And then you just wait and you start to understand what's going on because you're a part of them as they're a part of you, as you're part of everything. And then you decide if you want to continue this exchange or not, or maybe even heal them. Who knows? So I'm just going to relax for a minute and just tune out the human world. So when I silence out the human world, I'm just allowing myself to feel a little bit more grounded. It wasn't a thought. It was just moving energy by choice. Because I could tell there was something not quite grounded about me. Okay, so I'm asking my guides if we could talk about anything, and I'm going to record it. I don't really have a specific topic. What is it that you would like to talk about with me and with others who would watch this video? They give me this picture, and the picture is I'm falling from the sky, and then I instantly hit the ground, but it doesn't hurt me. However, the impact does hurt me in a different way. It's not like a physical, I splat, because this is a long ways down. It's more like it hurt me inside myself. And it's not as though I'm the falling person. I'm the observer of the falling person of myself. But it doesn't look like me. It looks like they have purple skin and they look kind of skeletal in the face and the body, but they are covered in skin. And there's blood that comes out of the mouth. It takes the breath out of the lungs. And it's very disorienting on the mind. It's also very confusing. It's almost like you're walking down the street and bam, you entered some random portal and now you're falling from the sky. And somehow you survive this impossible landing with a belly flap, okay? Smack on the ground. And now you're looking at yourself from outside yourself and it doesn't even look like you. And you're wondering, why this? Why spirit guides this image? Okay. This has to do with teaching other people about how interdimensional conversation works. So you want to have a conversation that you want it to be like human to human exchange. Well, it's not going to be like human to human exchange. It's going to be like what I just explained. All right, why are you showing me in an instant this whole experience? Why are you showing me that? What is that saying? I have no idea what you're saying to me. So that's really how interdimensional conversation works. And sometimes it's really clear, sometimes it's super blurry, sometimes it's vague, sometimes you feel like you're really going somewhere, other times you don't. So it's not because of you, it's because of the conversation. Let's say you're having a conversation with somebody who's out of your league of intelligence, and you can kind of get it, but you can't really get it. So some beings will talk with almost like always with pictures. Other beings are super duper quiet. Other beings are talking with geometric shapes. Other beings, you can't really tell what they're talking about because they'll activate certain emotions and you're not really sure if that's appropriate. So, I mean, you're going to have all kinds of weird exchanges and you're not always going to understand everything. As a human being, you want logic, you want it to make sense. Well, it's not always going to make sense. So you just have to go with what comes and work your way through it. So for me, I just let things speak for themselves, and then I assess it from the inside. And then I usually duplicate myself multiple times to see from many different viewpoints if I feel inspired. So right now, time is standing still, and I'm just sort of telling you guys this, and I'm looking at this picture of a purple Skeletor type, blood coming out of the mouth on a grassy ground. And it hurts from the inside. I can't help this representation. I can't help them up. I can't have a conversation with them. This represents they're completely on their own. So imagine you are completely on your own. Imagine you just fell from the sky and it didn't really hurt you physically, but it hurt you emotionally. And you didn't really look like yourself, not the way you remember. And you don't have anybody to pick you up. So now what are you going to do for yourself when you aren't even able to help yourself? Because on some level, you need somebody beyond yourself then to help you. All right, so what's the next message here? Everybody understands everybody. But how we understand it may vary. So you can put yourself into this persona, just as I can put myself into this persona. And we can relate to each other. And we might even have stories where we feel really, yeah, been there, done that. And all it is a weird creative picture. And yet, now we're connecting. You know what I mean? Now we're connecting. Okay, they want me to change everything. So when my spirit guides send me that sensation, they want me to change everything. They show me in a blip what are like multitudes of ideas of this skeletal being represents the world today. This skeletal being represents, countries that are in war. This skeletal being represents wealthy countries, or this skeletal being. It's just whatever you want to define it as. It could be anything, good, bad, doesn't matter, but it could still be represented. Now, can I reverse the event? Can I reverse this event for the whole, or portions of the whole, or for individuals? Can I reverse this event? And if I can reverse this event, it symbolizes something. Correcting a state of predicament. So if you ever fell out of the sky on random and you survived it, but it really hurt you from the inside and there was no one to help you up, could I reverse that for you? And you could obviously go down the road of, well, I wouldn't be the person I am today if that wouldn't have happened. But that's just one branch of the tree. What about the other branches of the tree where you never fell from the sky? What about those branches? Isn't it important to know about other versions of your own reality? Other versions of this life that you've explored? Not just this one moment, but all the multitudes of moments. So now I'm able to interact. I don't see this as just me. I see this as representing everyone individually, collectively, in the whole, and beyond my imagination, beyond any comprehension. And I start to understand, and I tell my guides this, that what we're talking about here is basically a monumental transition from one timeline into another timeline. Because if I start looking at the whole of an individual and all the branches of their tree, and now I'm reversing, it's not as if I've reversed anything. It's only that this cycle is moving in a different direction because it is rebirthing itself into a new cycle. So I experienced that. When I start interacting with this scene, like lightning bolt connections to lots of information, and I can feel it in my heart, I can see it with my mind, I can feel it everywhere. And then I start to understand something more about it, about the meaning of it. So then my guides are asking me about how do you fix the pain and suffering of our world, or how do you fix the problems? Because you would probably interpret this as not a good day. Do you fix it by waiting until everything rebirths itself? Or do you just fix it by just living in the experiences you're given? Do you fix it by being silent, talking to your spirit guides about it? Does that fix things? Will this fix things? As in, to fix something that's broken then is to make it whole again. All right? You could think somebody's broken and they're not. You think they need to be fixed and they don't. So you could be wrong. But it's easier to understand when materials are broken and then how to fix materials than to understand about people, you know, or souls even, through a human lens. So energetically, can I fix it? Can I fix it by looking at the whole and then seeing the rebirth of this timeline into something new? And where am I standing in time? Am I standing in the present moment as we understand it? The compilation of all moments? Am I standing in the universe? Where do I exist in the nucleus of this event? Then as it pertains to all events. In order to understand the answer, I have to ask these questions. I have to understand certain things. So let me see what comes back to me about it. What comes back to me about it is another scene. And I'm going to have to accept this scene for just the way it is, even if I don't understand why it has to be this way. A part of me appears, and this part of me has a big axe. And the axe chops off both arms and both legs. And I see what remains of the skeleton is now in physical agony, is still alive. And I take this skeleton and I drag it across the ground. And I hoist it into a big, kind of like old-fashioned cart, but it seems to be full of skeleton people that fell from the sky. All arms, legs chopped off. And then I start moving this cart, big cart of bodies, still alive. And I'm just moving it across the landscape. Then I reach a location where all this is just dumped into sort of a dead part of this planet. And then I burn it all alive. And then I do that. And another me looks at this and says, the idea of fixing it is introducing physical pain, is showing these skeletal people another side of pain to help them endure the emotional pain than this physical pain. No, my guides are asking me to stay and focus of time. So now that's the follow through. Now I'm going to watch 1,000,000 years pass from the event with the axe. I see the planet remembers. I see the spirits are a part of the planet. I see the spirits have been rebirthing themselves through the planet itself and through the birth of a new experience upon this planet. That all this pain and suffering from the inside and the outside and the soul and the life and the death and the confusion, and what we see is right and what we see is wrong, all led to this path 1,000,000 years into the future, if you want to look at it like that, where what actually happened in the death and release of the souls from their pain and suffering in their bodies was actually to merge with the planet itself and become seeds for the planet. The souls then are seeds for the planet. Even through their trauma and their torment, the planet then nursed them back into a harmonious balance, and they became sort of keepers of this world in another dimension. And then as keepers of this world, they were allowed to inspire or spark the creation of what this planet was going to be about. And my guides asked me a question about fixing things. Making it worse or making it better. Which one is it? And they show me that a human being looks at time as though they're trying to read a book that's right in front of their face. But they don't look at life through the spectrum of 1,000,000 years or 1,000,000,000 years. And so when things are so hard and incomprehensible, it's hard to understand how 1,000,000 years showcases something new and something good in the midst of something so terrible. And so we can't hold on to the terrible, because all we're doing is reading the book of our life without being able to really read it at all. We're just getting absorbed into our incomprehensible conflicts. And now when we look for a way to fix it, we might not even be able to understand what that means. And so the real question is, how do you live a life harmoniously as a human being? As a human being. How do you live a harmonious life if it includes falling from the sky or being cut to pieces or lit on fire? None of it really makes any sense. Human life can be kind of confusing, right? And yet it all makes sense in the bigger picture of time. So what is the most harmonious way to live a human life? Is it to avoid the conflict? Or is it to embrace the conflict? What makes logical sense? Then embrace your conflicts is what they're saying. And they're asking me, do I understand now why the skeleton falling from the sky? Can I say I do? because really this message is multidimensional. On one level, it's basic feedback on how to develop your psychic ability. And I don't know if I'll ever stop using the word psychic ability, but I mean, I could transform it into visualization or guided meditation, or to receive messages from beyond. Maybe that's more comfortable for people. But you let yourself receive a message that is creative, and now you interact with it in your own personal way. How does that make you feel? What questions do you have about it? When you put yourself into the image itself, different aspects of the image, what does it mean to you? And now talk about it. Have a conversation. See what inspires the conversation to move forward. Not because it made any sense in this world, but because yet it did make sense. You just had to stick with it and follow it through, so that you could see the bigger picture of what was being presented to you. Because if we try to grab logic first in a psychic exchange, we're going to fall flat on our face, because it has to be, the logic has to be built upon something non-logical, truly. And yet we find the logic in it in time. So I am a living example of how you can do what I just did and have a conversation with your spirit guides. How you can actually sit there and take a look at things that are morbidly incorrect to your human self. Like watching yourself get an axe and cut people apart and then put it in the back of a cart and then watch it all the way through, as weird and disturbing as it all is. But stay neutral about it, because you can't sit there and say this is all wrong and are messed up or something dark is here, because none of that is real. All this is information. And you won't ever understand the information unless you take the time to sit with it from a neutral viewpoint. It's just like the human world. How does information impact you in the human world? Is there good information and bad information? Or is there just information? And then it molds and shapes you, right? But you really just mold and shape yourself. So one dimension of this message is talking about psychic development, okay? Another dimension of this message is talking about what it's like to be human. Those incomprehensible moments where life happens. You know, it's like the bumper sticker, you know? It just, it's like it happens. And it doesn't make you feel great inside. It makes you feel like a pile of poop. But it happens. And then what are you going to do about it? Maybe it's not a physical nightmare, but it's an emotional nightmare, which kind of makes it physical. And maybe it's incomprehensible. Maybe it's like getting hit by a truck and now your life is totally changed. Whether that is in a job or in a relationship or in real life, literally a car accident. You know, we all wake up to some reality that is a mind bender, is a life changer. And then how are we going to fix it, you know? But here we have this other dimension about time, because our idea as a human being of fixing things, it's harder to fix something that's not material. How do you fix yourself? How do you fix this behavior? Or how do you fix that person? Or how do you fix this block that's been there for 20 years, you don't know why? Or how do you fix your problem that you can't talk to the spirit realm and you really want to? Or how do you fix yourself? Like, how do you fix people? How do you fix a soul? Like, what does that even mean? Can we even understand what that means? And where do we stand in the nucleus of all time? That's another dimension of this conversation, is about time. And looking at life really close up. So you're going through a hard time. You're going to be inspecting it with a microscope, zooming in, you know, to see every tiny little detail. But is that really what's going to make it better? Or is what is going to make it better to kind of back off a bit and let yourself be a part of the bigger picture? Maybe it's a coping mechanism. Maybe nothing will really make it better. Maybe you just have to go through it, you know, as it hacks you to pieces and tosses you in the fire. But you don't understand where you are in a million years because you're already there, right? in the rebirth of a timeline where now you're seeded into some planet as a keeper of new life. But you never thought of that one, you know, because that's another dimension of the conversation is what are we capable of, where are we capable of taking our comprehension of reality? And if that is part of reality, is that useful? Is it useful to think of it in that way? So, there's our conversation with my spirit guides. You can see how like deep this stuff can go. And oftentimes it would be really nice to just get basic logical answers. 1 + 1 = 2. Make it clear, get to the point. But the truth is, what if the most important information isn't the logical stuff? What if it's this that I just introduced to you? What if this type of translating, thinking, feeling, exploring, experiencing, being surrounded by the conversation of interdimensional, timeless exchanges, what if that is some new level that's worth it, you know, worth exploring here? But still, as a human being, it would just still be so nice to just keep it to what I believe that I'm seeing. Okay, what I believe, like if I believe 1 + 1 = 2, which just seems to be a lot of proof that 1 + 1 does equal 2. But if I hold on to 1 + 1 = 2, I'll never change, and never be open-minded to anything else being possible. Because I believed it so strongly, then I have to work with that building block for all eternity until I decide to let it go. So what if there's other ways of interpreting without the logic, because the logic becomes controlling, right? But the creative becomes free. And so maybe I don't need to know the logical answers. Maybe none of us do. Maybe we just need to have these kinds of exchanges with one another and see where it takes us next in a million years. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video. I do have a psychic development short series. This is just one psychic development short series that I put some thought into. And I want to create more of these. But this is just a beginning. Just a very, very basic beginning. And I kind of talk about some of these points. But that's going to start posting, I believe, September 1st. There's going to be 6 videos in this one. So subscribe and stay tuned. That's pretty much all I have to say. I do offer psychic sessions where I can deeply evaluate anything you got going on in your life through vibration, interpretation, harmonizing the disharmony to empower you and help you see yourself in a new way. If a session sounds good to you, you can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. I'm also on Patreon at patreon.com/abbeynormalswisdomquest. Have a great day, everybody.